My husband, my little girl.
He's got the whole house ready.
How are you gonna kill us all?
Shh. That's not gonna happen.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the 31 Nights of Fright Horror-Thon. 3 straight days of movie reviews dedicated to all things horror and Halloween, so let's get this thing started with the first movie in line, The Collector. I will be the first one to admit it that when it comes to the team behind the Saw franchise, the first word to jump into my head is stale. The first 2 Saw films were excellent, and after that things started going a little bit up and downhill, which brought on the idea that the creators behind the Saw franchise could no longer replicate the creative story they had made with the first 2 Saw films until now. The Collector tells the story of a part-time carpenter and thief who must break into a house and steal a rare diamond in order to pay off a debt his family owes to loan sharks before midnight. Things go smoothly during the break-in until we come to find out that someone worse has already broken into the house and has set up a variety of demented traps with the intention of brutal and slow torture. It then becomes the duty of the main character to escape from the situation alive with choices in between that alter the entire situation. For some hardcore horror fans, the premise may seem a bit basic and old, but despite that, the movie does bring a lot of new and creative things to the table that makes it very well worth the watch. Plus, the strongest aspect of this movie, and my favorite, is its atmosphere. Slasher movies are no longer scary, and one of the main reasons for that is due to the fact that horror movies and slasher flicks lack atmosphere, which induces suspense and fright. We get to see the house, which becomes the stage of the movie during the daytime, and it's an average looking house, but in the nighttime? Pfft, shit, it's another freaking house for all I care. They set the house all in the dark of night, but not too dark where you have trouble seeing, and the choice of lighting helped. It's also raining, thundering, and the location of the house is basically in the middle of the woods in suburbia. All these little things contribute to an overall creepy look and feel of the movie, which helps the atmosphere, which only aids in jump scares and tension. The killer is also done with the same atmospheric attention. He is as mysterious as Michael Myers, and does what he does for no reason but possibly a sick pleasure. He is cunning and thinks ahead of time like Jigsaw does in the Saw franchise, but not to such a crazy extent, and his movements oozes out creepiness like Jason. From his turns, his stares, and approaches, everything is done with a disturbing touch as if something is dementally wrong with the killer, and that's always a bonus. Traps are also fairly creative and make for some very gruesome scenes that may cause twitching for the squeamish. Speaking of the traps, some people may complain that there wasn't enough time for the killer to set up all the traps that he set up at night, but he never arrived there at night and it was never established at what time he started the whole event. So that does aid as a logical argument for the traps, but it's still a lazy plot hole. The movie's also shot with your classic grainy filter to give it an old school feel, and the death scenes are violent enough to bring something new to the table, but it's nothing grand either. For the little that is present in the movie, the dialogue is standard as far as horror movies go, but it's nothing to be concerned about even if it was good, because the movie mainly consists of a sick game of cat and mouse with no talking. Now, despite all the good this movie brings to the table, it does have some flaws. The killer is made to look way too strong and there's nothing special about him. He is a skinny man and is human, yet he possesses superhuman strength and attributes, and this is clearly seen towards the end of the movie. Speaking of that, the end of the movie ends in a pretty cliche manner, which is a letdown given that the movie spent the majority of its time doing new things. Despite these flaws, this movie is still worth the watch, and a flick that not only proves that the Saw team can still make great films, but a movie that gives hope to the slasher genre. The Collector gets an 8.5 out of 10.